I'm Lawrence Francis, host of Interpreting Wine, welcoming you to the Willamette Valley Winemaker special series. Across these 6 episodes recorded in December 2022, we'll be exploring the modern Willamette Valley winemaker scene in the company of 6 producers, with guests chosen to reflect a range of locations, production scales, and philosophies. Undoubtedly the most up-to-date exploration of Willamette Valley winemaking available anywhere in podcast format. Subscribe to Interpreting Wine to be alerted when new series episodes go live. We kick things off today in the company of Guillaume of Resonance Wines. We hear Guillaume's origin story and translation to the Willamette Valley from his native Burgundy. He takes us on a deep dive into Willamette Valley versus Burgundy terroir comparison, takes us into the winemaking community in the Willamette Valley, before taking us on a virtual vineyard tour at Resonance, discusses the differences between wines of Burgundy and the Willamette Valley, before taking us into a Resonance winemaking deep dive. Enjoy!
So I am Guillaume Large, winemaker of Resonance. So I was born and I grew up in Burgundy, and I moved in the Willamette Valley in 2017, 5 years ago. Before that, I learned in Burgundy. I learned about the wine of Burgundy with, at first, my family, my grandfather, who owned a vineyard in Mâconnais. And then, so after graduation in public law in Lyon, I decided to start a new project, and I returned to the university to learn about enology. And so I was graduated with a national diploma of enologist, a master degree in enology from the University of Dijon. And then I discovered the Maison de Négoce, the negociant, in Beaune, in Burgundy. And after a few experiences, I started to work with Maison Louis Jadot in 2011 as a cellar master, as assistant of the technical director of Jadot, and working with the appellation of Burgundy, with the mosaic of Terroir of the Maison Louis Jadot, and the expression of Pinot Noir and Chardonnay through c'est la Grande Bourgogne, from Chablis to the Côte de Nuit, Côte de Beaune, Côte Chalonnaise, Mâconnais, and Beaujolais, of course. Voilà, but only Burgundy. And in 2013, in fact, the Maison Louis Jadot, for the first time, decided to make wine outside of Burgundy. The first time from the foundation of the Maison Louis Jadot in 1859, the middle of the 19th century. The first time outside of Burgundy. And it's in the Willamette Valley in Oregon, in the USA. So a very interesting project, very exciting project as well. In fact, we started by the purchase of a small vineyard, Resonance Vineyard, in 2013, and the opportunity to buy some land, non-planted, next to this vineyard. And so when we were ready to plant and to build on this property, it was time to have somebody of Jadot on site, living on site, based at Resonance for a daily work. And so Pierre-Henri Gaget, the president of Jadot, his son Thibault, general manager of the project, and Jacques Lardière, who was the head winemaker of Jadot, offered to me the opportunity to move with my family in the Willamette Valley, to work on this project. And so we moved here in August 2017. Voilà.
Okay, amazing. And, I'm really at the start of this second series that I'm doing on the Willamette Valley, having visited there myself in 2020, January 2020. And it was noticeable from the amazing winemakers that I met, who were from Oregon or were at least primarily from the United States, the regard that they held for Burgundy, and whenever they could take the opportunity, traveling there and tasting there. And this is going to be, I think, fascinating because we're almost getting the other way around. You know, somebody who's has learned and has worked in Burgundy and has now made his home in the Willamette Valley. So I think what would really be interesting would just be to almost kind of take yourself back in time a little bit and think about, you know, what were really, I guess, potentially some of the differences or similarities, or even just the unique things that you saw and that perhaps Louis Jadot saw in the Willamette Valley, but coming from a Burgundian origin.
It's very interesting what you ask, because in fact we didn't know what would be the similarities or the difference with Burgundy. This is why it was so interesting and exciting for us to start this project. Again, I repeat, but this is the first time that we'll produce a Pinot Noir outside of Burgundy. So in 2013, Jadot had a great opportunity to start this project. I think this is something that the president of Jadot, Pierre-Henri Gaget, had in mind from a few years, you know. But at the end of 2012, a great opportunity happened as the winemaker of Jadot, Jacques Lardière, after leading the winemaking during 42 vintages, was officially retired of Jadot. And so he was available to visit the Willamette Valley with the idea to find a place. Pierre-Henri Gaget had a good contact here. A small vineyard was in the market, en tout cas, would be ready soon to be sold. And so Jacques Lardière and the son of the president of Jadot, Thibaut Gaget, working on the project too, visited the small vineyard of Resonance Vineyard, a beautiful terroir, planted at the beginning of the 80s with unrooted Pinot Noir, 8 hectares, donc small, a true terroir. One of the beautiful terroirs of the valley. So immediately a good inspiration, a good, almost a vibration, you know, coming from the place. So a good first step for this project. And the idea to start with somebody that we don't know. The idea to use the experience of Jadot, of few generation of winemakers, you know, not to try to make a Burgundian Pinot Noir, a Burgundian wine in Oregon, but to use this experience to reveal the terroir, to understand the place, and to compare, yes, for sure, to compare between both wine regions, but to show what can be the expression of Pinot Noir in another wine region that we don't know. And this is super exciting. And so the Willamette Valley had something a little bit logic for us, a little bit connected. When you look at a map, you see Burgundy, you see Willamette Valley, this is almost the same latitude, you know, so giving a lot of similarities. Yes, especially during the growing season, something interesting. If you take the city of Beaune, that is a little bit the capital of the wine in Burgundy, and the city of McMinnville, that is at the heart of the Willamette Valley, both cities have exactly the same numbers of hours of light during the summer, you know, the sun, you know, the light from the sun, exactly the same. So for the growing season, for the maturation, in fact, it's very interesting. After the rest, the idea to try by yourself, the idea to learn about the Willamette Valley by cultivating, by farming, and by making the wine. So for sure, a lot of difference. If you compare really the condition of farming in Burgundy and the condition in Oregon. For sure, we are not the same. We are not the first to move in the Willamette Valley. but it's still a very new wine region. So this is something for us that spoke as well. The idea to try to plant, to find a place, to find a future good place for Pinot Noir or Chardonnay, to focus on these grape varieties, the same than in Burgundy, without idea to try an exotic grape varieties. That was for sure the goal. Et puis, to be patient and to see what will be the expression. So yes, if we think about difference, the geology, you compare the limestone of Burgundy with marine sedimentary soil or volcanic soil in the Willamette Valley, soil that are really younger. So giving another source of energy. You have the influence, for sure, of the Pacific Ocean that is so close of the valley, valley protected by the Coast Range mountain, for sure, but really an influence. While in Burgundy, we are far of the ocean. We are inside the land. So continental climate, semi-continental climate in Burgundy versus Pacific weather, influence of the wind and the rain coming from the ocean. No doubt with that. But the rest, it's super interesting to have to do that, to try by yourself something that in Burgundy we cannot develop anymore. This is not anymore possible in Burgundy to try to plant and to try. What is the richness of Burgundy? What makes Burgundy so unique? This is all this heritage, coming from centuries, from generation and generation of people. And today we know very well each terroir. We have learned, again, from a while about that. While in Oregon, it's still the beginning of this wine region. Again, we are not the first to start to plant, but it's still a new adventure, a new wine region, and we are so happy to be here to do that.
Yeah, I think it's always something that I love hearing. I think and love discussing is that youth of the soil, or indeed the very old soils. That again, I think it's something that wine is uniquely placed to kind of interpret and to spread and to to be able to put that out into the world, which is incredible. But the other or one of the other big stories, of course, is around the people, and it certainly left a big impression on me, spending just a week in the Willamette Valley, because without doubt those are some of the most interesting and most friendly and open winemakers and people that I've ever met. It was really incredible time that I had. I really felt like I was among friends from the first minute, and I'm kind of just curious as well, like how has it been for you, as somebody coming in from Burgundy? Do you find the community is kind of really eager to learn and just wants to share bottles and ask questions? And I can only imagine how it must be for you, but I'm curious to hear it in your words.
It's interesting what you say, because it's exactly the same feeling than I had when I moved, with a huge difference. That was my English. that is still not perfect, but when we moved, I spoke French-English more than English, and so we said with my wife, "Ooh la la, I don't know where we are arriving and how will be our life." But immediately from the beginning, the generosity of the people, their help, people very, very friendly, always present. Say, hey, if you need anything, let us know. So this energy, in the Willamette Valley as something unique. I think it really. I speak more about the wine community, because this is what I know better than the whole Willamette Valley. But for the wine community, it's very interesting because a lot of people are like us, coming from other regions, from the USA, but like from California or other states, as well. They can come from other countries. I have a lot of friends coming from Australia, from New Zealand, from Chile, of course, from Burgundy or France, but from UK too. So it's really, it's almost a melting pot of the winemaking community for the Willamette Valley. And so, everybody is bringing a part of his experience, to this wine region. So again, it's really the region is moving forward in it's something qualitative, high level, of detail and potential. So I think it's really unique. I have a good example that I like to share. That was one of my very first wine events. When I moved, I was invited with almost all the winemakers of the valley for one technical seminar, a whole day. Everybody was invited to bring one sample from the current wine in aging, not yet in bottle, so sample from the barrel. And you bring your sample. It was one table of sample per AVA. So I bought a Pinot Noir from Yamil Carlton, and during almost a full day, sharing experiences with other winemakers. So what did you do during the harvest? Why did you choose this wine? What is your style, of aging? In fact, something very valuable and learning a lot. Not to try, to compare and to say, I prefer this wine. It was more the idea to learn about that. It's almost unique. I think this is something in Burgundy that it's not easy to do. Imagine all the winemakers of Burgundy together one day sharing their bottle. I am not sure. This is something we will see. But it's a little bit normal. It's in link with this wine region, this new wine region. Everybody wants to collaborate to be better together and maybe to learn faster as well about the terroir of the Willamette Valley.
Yeah, and maybe that's what was happening in Burgundy a few hundred years ago.
Exactly.
You're time traveling back to an earlier stage in the development of that region there. So you're seeing the culture in a different phase, which I think is really really interesting, and I think is you can feel it. It's palpable.
It's true. It's totally true. Yeah.
Amazing, and I think where I'd guide you to talk about now, Guillaume, is actually the acreage that you have bought and is Louis Jadot and is now your new home there, and I guess really kind of take us down into that vineyard, as I like to describe it almost as though the little man from Google Maps. If we were to drop him in your vineyard, what does it look like? What are we kind of surrounded by? And take us there, I guess, in the current moment in the winter of 2022.
We are on the western side of the Willamette Valley, so very close to the ocean. Mm-hmm. The Willamette Valley. Willamette, this is a river going down along this valley, stuck between the Cascade on the east, Cascade Mountain, high mountain, and on the west, the Coast Range mountain. We are really at the foot of the Coast Range, so very important because the Coast Range is like a rain shadow. So protecting really this terroir, this vineyard, from the influence of the winds from the ocean. So very impactful. This vineyard, Resonance Vineyard, the first step, the first vineyard that we bought in 2013 is really beautiful. It's a small vineyard, 8 hectares, with only Pinot Noir, but unrooted, ungrafted Pinot Noir. Voilà. Again, if we think about Burgundy, this is something that we cannot try anymore due to the pressure of the phylloxera. Yeah, here it is ungrafted, unrooted from the beginning, from the plantation in 1981. So a little bit more than 40 years ago. So very special with blocks that have been drawn, you know, so you see really the shape, because at that time in the 80s they were selecting some clonal selection to try, just to see what will be the expression of the Pinot Noir. And so in this vineyard we have 3 clonal selections. So Pommard, a name that you know from Burgundy, unrooted Pommard, Dijon 777, unrooted as well, and Wädenswil, Pinot a little bit less Burgundian maybe, but interesting when you think about 3 of them together. Voilà, bien, this is a vineyard. Our goal, as I told you, this is to learn about the place. This is to try to have fruit, beautiful fruit that will express perfectly the terroir. And so to do that, to help, it was something very important for us from the beginning to use organic approach, organic farming, to reach its goal of quality. So organic, certified, no irrigation, very important as well, especially, this vineyard is established, but I will tell you after, we have some new vineyard. The idea to constrain the roots, to go down, to express the geology of the place. And here, the geology is very special. We are among the oldest marine sedimentary soil that you can find in the Willamette Valley. And so 40 million years old, the basaltic bedrock and all the layers of sediment from the ocean, you know, from these big activities at that time. So giving something unique, very drainful during the summer, so a little bit stressful, but meaning high concentration of flavors, you know, complexity. So voilà, this is what we do with this vineyard, Resonance Vineyard. Again, a true terroir, a good feeling for us with the expression of the place, as we decided to, and in link with that, we decided to use the name of this vineyard as the name of our project in the Willamette Valley, Resonance. The name of the vineyard was already Resonance Vineyard. Just what we did for the French touch, we added an accent on the I, voilà, and we choose Resonance for the brand, for the winery, for the project. In 2017, so we started to plant in a big property next to Resonance Vineyard, touching, adjacent to Resonance Vineyard, but not yet planted, about 125 hectares with beautiful hills, you know, huge oak trees. They are so beautiful, the oak trees here. They're really with a soul, you know. And we started to plant when I moved from Burgundy. But again, with the same goal of quality, so no irrigation from the beginning, organic approach from the plantation, or whether instead of using some clonal selection like they did initially. We say we'll use a part of our Burgundian experience. And we decided to mix our vineyard from the beginning. So thinking about massal selection instead of clonal selection. The diversity instead of one kind of Pinot Noir. And so today, on the slope that we have selected, where it is very steep, we don't know which one is a Pommard, which one is a Dijon, which one is another. Voilà, we have mixed a lot of different kind of Pinot Noir, a little bit like we do in Burgundy when we plant. So, alors, it's interesting. This vineyard is young, planted between 17 and 18, but on the same kind of soil, same geology, marine sedimentary soil. Then, in 2014, 1 year after the acquisition of Resonance Vineyard, we bought another vineyard in Dundee Hills AVA. At Resonance Vineyard, this is Yarmil Carlton AVA, the western side. Dundee Hills, very close. It's 15 kilometers, but very different terroir, very different geology, exposure, elevation. At Découverte Vineyard, Dundee Hills AVA, this is a volcanic soil, the Jory soil, the red clay, volcanic, a lot of energy. Voilà, second terroir, second expression, very interesting, small, about 5 hectares, but like in Burgundy we do between the different appellations, here the same idea. And then end of 2021, a third acquisition with Kusa Vineyard in Eola Amity Hills, another AVA in the Willamette Valley, another expression of Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. Voilà, this is a little bit our goal, step by step. Not the idea to buy a lot of land here, but more the idea to learn, to continue to learn about the expression and the diversity of the terroir by trying again by yourself, by farming with attention, meticulous farming, organic for all of them. Et puis voilà, to see what will be the expression of the wine.
Hearing you talk, it just again shows, the power of Pinot, I think, first and foremost, to express those different vineyard sites and to for it to be interesting to have the same variety planted in all those regions and expect it to show up so differently. But I think as well, just on the terroir side of things, I think it also when I hear people who live in the Willamette Valley and they've been to those sharing events that you're talking about there, and they have such a strong feel for, okay, this is what I'm going to get from the Yamhill Carlton, the Eola Amity Hills, and all of the other different AVAs and sub AVAs. There, it really is quite a remarkable, I think you said, patchwork of different soils that are.
Ouais, patchwork, mosaic, is that? Et puis, step by step, we see more vineyard planted, so meaning more expression, and so more, experience and learning about these AVAs. So it's coming. It's coming. We will see more AVAs, in the future for sure, because each expression will be more precise and more local. A little bit like in Burgundy with the appellation.
Sure.
Maybe not the same system, maybe not the same hierarchy of appellation, but the place is the key, and this is very important.
Incredible. And I know you've been there for several years already, Guillaume. But I think it's maybe nice to try to take you back a little bit to those earlier times when you were sort of trying wines from those different AVAs, and I'm just curious. Does anything, be that an AVA, be that a particular style, or even a producer, does anything particularly stand out that just sort of really either took you by surprise or was particularly memorable in amongst what were an amazing, I'm sure, learning experience?
In France, it is very difficult, almost impossible, to buy wine from Oregon. I mean, Pinot Noir from Oregon, especially in Burgundy with small ton, so difficult to try by yourself, to compare the appellation of the Willamette Valley with the appellation of Burgundy, for example. So as soon as I moved, it was easy for me to test. And this is exactly what I started to do. But before that, I compared a lot our terroir of Resonance Vineyard and the wine that we made from 2013 with the Pinot Noir made at the Maison Louis Jadot. And so what immediately spoke to me, and I think the team will agree with me, there is really an energy, a little bit like the people, but that speak. When you open the wine and you pour the first nose and mouth that you will have, this is the expression, the fruity expression of the wine. Very intense. Even if the wine is young, it's already very open. And really an aromatic complexity that is unique, I don't know, but for sure very present. So if I think about Yamil Carlton and Resonance Vineyard, for example, every year, this is this expression of black fruit, the black cherry, black berries, the spicy notes, a lot of licorice, and floral notes. Always a mix between powerful fruity expression and elegant approach of the wine with floral touch, Voilà. And the structure is a little bit in link with the nose, The wine is present, the tannins are present, but I would like to say maybe the wine are easier to drink, faster, en tout cas, than the Pinot Noir of Burgundy. And I think it's in link with the geology. The limestone gives something a little bit, this density, this almost this contact that you have with the limestone, while here the marine sedimentary soil will give a skeleton, a structure that is very present, but at the same time that help, to have an harmonious wine. We use exactly the same technique of winemaking. I forgot to tell you, but between Jadot and Resonance. So we can really compare the wine in the same direction of winemaking. The place is really different. Bon, Yamil Carlton, the black fruit, the spicy note, earthy notes as well. If I think about Découverte Vineyard, about Dundee Hills, always Dundee will express something more fruity with a lot of red fruits, strawberry, a little bit wild strawberry, raspberry, blackberries as well, delicate touch, a little bit more elegant, maybe a little bit more feminine. But voilà, with the same expression than Resonance Vineyard and Yamil Carlton, is very open expression, very expressive wine, even if they are young. Alors ça, voilà. But there are two worlds between Yamil Carlton and the marine sedimentary soil and Dundee Hills and the volcanic soil and Découverte Vineyard, that for sure. And if I test wine from neighbor, from Yamil Carlton versus wine from neighbor of Dundee Hills, a little bit the same direction than our terroir. So it's very interesting. Et puis, bon, puis all the other, eolamity, the minerality, volcanic soil, but another series of volcanic than Dundee Hills. You test Macminville volcanic, closer to Dundee, but same, different notes of minerality, I think the youngness of the soil, of the rock, the stone of the Willamette Valley give something very expressive. While the old soil of Burgundy, the limestone, give something with more density, and the wine needs to come. Whether the wine of the Willamette Valley have a great potential of aging due to the level of acidity, again, due to the latitude. Same. Today, I think really both Burgundy and Willamette Valley are on the same plan of quality. Same. Just it's two very different worlds, two very different wine regions. One that is here from centuries and with great, so complex expression of the terroir. Another that is still super young, and we have planted maybe 10% of what could be the Willamette Valley. So we have still to learn a lot about this wine region. Yeah. But in terms of quality, amazing.
Yeah, no, really, again, super interesting. And I think, where it would help me, I think, and where would be the logical place to talk about now is actually, and it brings together all of what you've spoken about really, is I guess to talk about where you are now with the range of wines that you're producing, perhaps focusing in on Resonance and the Yamhill Carlton AVA. How has that now settled in terms of what you might be vinifying as a single plot or as a broader example of the site and with any reference to any differences in terms of the élevage and what you're giving that wine as it comes through.
Yes, it's something that we are still building. Vintage after vintage. It will be 10 years already soon next year about the vintage made at Resonance, but it's still new. The first step was to say, okay, we use the same approach about the winemaking than in Burgundy. So I do the same that I did at the Maison Louis Jadot when I work as cellar master. So for the Pinot Noir, for sure, pick by hand, destem, and then the idea to have a long maceration. But the idea as well to keep each block, each spot, depending on the slope, the exposure, the elevation, so almost each terroir in a separate tank. So currently, we built a winery in 2017, and I used the new winery for the first time in 2018. So the idea to have a lot of tanks, like we do in Burgundy, to vinify one terroir by itself, and then to age in the barrel each terroir separately. And at the end, only at the end of the aging, the idea to make a blend. So really to let the time to the wine to come slowly, very slowly, in the barrel. We use one cooperage for all our barrels. It's very important for us to age in barrels. The cooperage is Cadus from Burgundy. A strong partnership with the Maison Jadot, because Jadot funded Cadus in 1996, with the idea to control the sourcing of the oak, to have very fine grain of oak to age the wine. So today I use the same barrel at Resonance than we use at the Maison Louis Jadot. So different forest, different origin of oak from France, and using maximum 30% of new oak. Voilà. Then I learned about that. And again, you remember I told you that the expression of the fruit is something very, I would say, impactful. En tout cas, this is really a part of the DNA of the Pinot Noir here. And I think that we don't need especially the same aging than in Burgundy. Meaning I like to finish the aging of our wine in tank, a blend made, to keep the freshness of the fruit, to push it a little bit, to have Voilà. So again, I am still learning about that. It's not impossible that in the future we will move forward in another direction, maybe than in Burgundy. Now we had 20, 21, 22 with warm summer, so warm style of vintage. But what is very interesting, for the 3 very warm vintage, we were able to keep a nice natural level of acidity. What is the key, to have this wine very alive, very full of energy, vibrant, and so that helps really to keep the wine in barrel, in aging for a long time, for sure. But again, I think at the moment we have enough oak, and so finishing the aging in tank, in stainless steel tank, this is helpful. For the Chardonnay, same idea to compare with our technique of Burgundy. It's important to have the fermentation, I think, in barrels. Not using too much new oak, 20%. I think it's enough. But voilà, just to reveal each terroir by using the same approach, the same technique. So voilà, this is what we do. Then more and more I use some egg as well, concrete egg, with the perfect shape of the egg. And it's very interesting with the style of the Chardonnay that we have here, that speak well. Same, Chardonnay are super interesting because this is a nice minerality that speak here, especially from the volcanic soil. And we have this acidity. Nice expression, nice punch, So I think Chardonnay is coming really as a great grape variety in the Willamette Valley. So voilà, now year after year, with our experience here, adjusting, precising a little bit the technique. This is what we will continue to do, but not a huge difference if I compare with our process in Burgundy. Some detail, but mainly the same.
Yeah, and it almost sounds too simple to say that, but I think as you have said yourself earlier, if you change all the factors, then you lose any kind of meaning. I think, don't you? You lose any kind of insight and any learning, which I think is the word that I will I think take most from our conversation today. Just that idea that open-mindedness, and maybe through the culture, through the soils, through the people, and I guess just through the opportunity that you've been given. It's sounds like a fabulous opportunity to make great wines and to learn from a completely different terroir. And
sure.
And in closing, really, I would just invite you to let the listeners know where they can find more about you, where they can find you online and potentially on social media, because I'm sure that they would like to explore and follow along with the project that you're leading.
Yes, sure. Well, we have a website, that we have built with the idea to show a little bit the place. So very nice short video, some beautiful photo from the property. Again, with these amazing oak trees, the hills of Resonance Vineyard and the property next to Resonance Vineyard. Virtual visit of our tasting room at the winery. So a good tool to learn more about what we do, some events as well that we participate in. Voilà, so website is a good tool. We have an active Instagram account, what is always interesting to show what we do, some fun things happening in the vineyard or the cellar or some wine event that we report. Voilà. Et puis, of course, in link with co-brand, our national team, some special events, in the USA, but outside of the US as well. But everything is well shown on the website. So maybe the best tool to learn a little bit more about Resonant Vineyard and about Resonant and our vineyard. Of course, it's not next door, but if some guests have the opportunity to visit Willamette Valley, I will encourage them to do that, and of course to visit Resonance as well, because the place has something unique. The beauty of the place, the terroir, the soul of these very special part of the Willamette Valley will speak to our visitor as it spoke to us when we arrived. And voilà.
A huge thanks to today's guest, Guillaume Lage of Resonance Wines. Do be sure to visit resonancewines.com, where you can learn more about the project and find their main social media handles. Please help to amplify this episode and the Willamette Valley Winemaker series by sharing the direct link, which is interpretingwine.com/527. And you can find links to all 6 series episodes in the description below. And of course, I would love to have you following along with me on social media, where I'm at Interpreting Wine on Instagram and Facebook, and at Wine Podcast on Twitter. Next time on the Willamette Valley Winemaker series in episode 528, I'll be speaking with Scott Neal of Coeur d'Alene Vineyards. Make sure you're subscribed to be alerted when the episode goes live. See you then.